What's good, pimp? Welcome to another edition of the Question of the Week series. And today, this is our third week and our third question. And this is a special one because I think for a lot of guys, this tends to apply. It gets to a point where if you're struggling with women in your life, a lot of times, dudes, we really hit that epiphany moment when things are so bad. Because a lot of times when we're in that lukewarm middle area, kind of good, but when we finally hit that rock bottom moment, that's when we finally start to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, where the fuck is this going? So our question of the week comes from a young man by the name of YBW07. Straight from Reddit. Any advice for a 20-year-old? I'm not gonna bore you guys with the detail, as I'm sure you've heard it all before, but no girlfriend, I'm still living with my parents, and I have absolutely no social life, etc. However, where do I even begin on this self-improvement journey, and how do I stay consistent and keep myself motivated? I don't know. I'm really starting to think that there's no hope for me, and I'm going to be lonely for the rest of my life. Any advice? This is something that is very common. It's a very common thread. Because over time, those social habits, it finally hits that head to where you're now in your 20s, you're 24, you're like, dude, I've only had maybe one or two girlfriends, or I only have one or two kisses or kind of experiences, or even if I did have sex with a girl, it might have just been my sister's friend or some situation, some soul circle situation that ultimately is not consistent. You're looking in the mirror and you're feeling like, man, everyone else is having fun out there, everyone else is meeting different women, and I'm still here feeling like I'm stage one. I'm sure I can bust motherfuckers' asses in Fortnite. That's great, but I mean, it's about time I start busting real bitches' asses in real life, and ultimately that's what this comes down to. But here's the thing, I think that this is a blessing, because for me personally, that's how my story started. I spent my whole life. Okay, first of all, my mom is Chinese and my pops was Puerto Rican. They raised us in the inner city in the Bronx, and we grew up near Little Italy. So we were exposed to a lot of different cultures, but ultimately I was usually the only Asian kid around. So I had to deal with a lot of shit, and I had to deal with the fact that I felt very ostracized, and I was also very shy, mainly because my father was very overprotective. When we were kids, he was just very overprotective, and it's only natural. I mean, we lived in a bit of a rough neighborhood, but this kind of led to me, my social skills just started to really just wane. They were not up there. I was kind of intimidated by talking to strangers. I was a shy kid, and it wasn't until one day that I got on the internet, thanks to something that you're watching right now, this ability to communicate across the entire world. I came across something back before YouTube, before all the big social media platforms. I just came across a random site that was just basically like, I'm going to teach you how to build attraction with a woman, and if it's normally, I wouldn't click links like that. But that day, something just told me. I guess it's because most of the time, to be honest, links are usually along the lines of, there's local girls in your area. And it's like, you just know that shit is spam. But for some reason, I never read something where it was like, I'm going to actually teach you how to meet the beautiful women. Not I'm going to show you some beautiful women or some shit like that. So it caught my attention. And when I clicked it, the first couple things I read were like backhanded compliments, just like, oh, you're cute. Like my little sister, I'm going to adopt you, like an evil little sidekick. Little ways where it's like you're complimenting girl, but you're not kissing her ass. You're kind of checking her almost. And instantly, I thought it was genius. And I think to a certain degree, I got to give myself some level of social intelligence and props, because there are a lot of guys there who read a tease, and they're like, oh my God, that's not going to work, or she'll slap you, or some shit like that. But the moment I read it, I was like, this is genius. This is absolutely genius. And I could absolutely see the shit working. So from then on, I had a big fucking epiphany moment. One day I came home, it was raining outside. At that time, I was chubby and I had really long hair. I used to get confused for a girl a lot. I came home one day, I looked in the mirror, it was raining outside, so I was like soaking wet. My hair was soaking wet. I took my shirt off, I looked in the mirror, and I realized that I did not like what was looking back at me. I looked at myself, and that was the big epiphany moment. I realized that I need to get my life together, not just with women, but with everything. And I think that's what's so important about this step, is that for me, it didn't come from this place of, oh, I just want to learn how to get good with girls so I could get my first girlfriend. That wasn't a motivation enough for me to really switch my life around. That real motivation is when you hit that rock bottom. So it's a blessing, bro. What you have right now is a blessing in disguise, because that moment, it's just like a frog in a pot of boiling water. When you it's better to just get thrown into some scalding water sometimes, or you reach that point where you realize it's time to hop the fuck out, man. And everything around you may seem like it's in scarcity. You may seem like everything around you is ahead of you, but that shit is also your greatest gift. That anger, that resentment, that feeling of like, I want to fucking change. Hold on to that feeling. It's a good feeling to have. I wanted to get good with women, but my ultimate goal was to also self-improve, period. Like when I started, I wasn't just like, okay, I'm gonna start talking to girls. I decided I cut all my hair. I stopped drinking soda. I stopped eating fast food. I stopped eating sweets. I lost a bunch of weight. I took up basketball, some basketball after school program. I started playing baseball. So I really started pushing myself. I started socially trying to push myself, and eventually everything kind of accumulated. It all came to a head where now my looks were starting to get together. My social skills were starting to get together, you know, my hobbies, my ability to communicate, till eventually I got my first fucking girlfriend, and it was the greatest feeling ever, even though she ended up later dumping me because I had not sharpened up on my game as much, and I got a little bit too needy as far as physically trying to escalate with the chick. I just didn't really know how to escalate with the chick, and eventually she dumped me. But that was a time in my life where I reached that point, and I know I was younger and you're older. You may reach the point where it's a little bit even harder for you. It might be even more harder for you. Why? Because I had time to at least, you know, get my shit together because I'm in school or whatnot. You may be in your 20s. You may have work that you're already juggling. You might have to really challenge yourself, but ultimately you have everything you need. If you're sitting here right now, you have 2 eyes, 2 legs, some balls, a dick. You're not in a place where you cannot get something done. Hey man, you're in the first world country. I want you to reframe your mind for a second. There's no other greater time in history than to meet women right now. I mean, there's bitches of every race just walking around. I mean, it's like there's no other time in history where you could just be any race of dude and talk to any race of chicks and not deal with a bunch of butthurt haters or motherfuckers trying to kill you, fucking hang you from a tree or some shit. Now you can fucking do this shit and you're free. Now you might be in a position where you developed a lot of bad habits. You feel like, man, I'm 20 something years old, I have all these bad habits, but guess what? The moment you stop and say I can change, then you can change from this moment. It may seem like there's a lot of things against you, but that also gives you the freedom to have nothing to lose. You have complete freedom to push yourself because you've never done this shit before. You have that anger that no one else has. That lukewarm guy who kind of has a girlfriend, she's average, or kind of dates girls here and there. He has an average job. He's never gonna have that epiphany moment where he breaks out of his shell and really starts to improve his life, because he never reaches that rock bottom moment. That rock bottom moment, like everything else in life, in this dualistic universe, is a blessing and it's a curse, man. You have everything you need. Just make it your ultimate goal to self-improve in general, because for me, that was one thing too. I was also very excited. That's another thing too. You cannot go into this with a defeated mindset. I see a lot of guys and I wonder why they don't have this success, but then when I look at them and I compare them to me when I was like 13 or whatever the case was, they're more defeated as a grown man, 20 something years old, than I sounded when I was 13. When I was 13, I heard all this shit and I felt excited. I felt like, wow, I just discovered something that is totally different. I felt like Indiana Jones discovering a new fucking treasure, and that's how you have to be. If you're in this mindset, if you come into this with a defeated mindset, you're fucked. If you come into this mindset with a scarcity mindset, you're fucked. If you come into this mindset of the first girl I meet, I'm gonna wife her, you're fucked. You need to come to this mindset where I'm gonna get good and self-improve with everything in life, and I'm gonna improve my skills with women. Not I'm gonna get good enough to get my first girlfriend and then run away and turn beta again, but I'm gonna improve my skill set with women. And ultimately, man, when you have that hunger, you have that drive, you have that enthusiasm, that's what really matters. Because the moment a motherfucker is just like,
everything sucks, everything is against me, I instantly look at him like,
he's not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. I'm sorry, but if you're to your 20s and you have a defeated mindset, I mean, you already have 20 something years of bad habits. You already have the fact that you don't have the same leeway and time that other dudes have when they were younger, and you have a defeated mindset. You have you have no chance. You have to have such a fucking opposite kind of mindset. You have to be so fired up to overcome all of the bad conditions you have, all the environmental conditions you have that work against you. You have to have that fire in you, man, and you have everything that you need, man. And this was not a super duper technical advice video, but this was a real fundamental mindset thing, because I always compare any big change in life to the big change I had, and I didn't have that big change until I was completely fed up. Not when I was a little bit fed up, no, completely fucking fed up, completely frustrated, completely angry with everything that I had become, everything that I was letting myself become. That's the moment I really really enacted that change, and I made that shit my main goal to self-improve and with women. And over time, what actually ended up happening was I got so good with women that I kind of lost sight of that self-improvement goal. And over time, I started developing bad habits. I started smoking weed. I started popping pills. I started cutting school, going to chick house, and I'm justifying it over here because I'm like, hey, well, I'm going to this bad bitch house. I'm going to that bad bitch house. But in reality, I was losing focus of who I was and the original goal, which was self-improvement and unleashing my best with women and beyond. And I kind of lost sight of that. But that's something that happened with me personally. But ultimately, man, if you're watching this, dude, I just want to say you have everything you need right now. That's it, bro. That's it for this question of the week, man. It's a quick one, and I just wanted to say, if you have any other questions, if you have something, email seductionleashcoach@gmail.com or leave it below in the comments. And ultimately, man, we're here, man. We all on this journey together. And with that being said, bro, I'll see you on the next episode. Don't get caught slipping around these hoes, my friend.